My name is Niall Henry, CEO and founder of the Blair Project.
So my passion for motorsport began through my little brother. So the name of the organization is called the Blair Project. So my younger brother is called Blair, and his passion was to be involved in motorsport and be a driver and to be the next Lewis Hamilton and try and reach the pinnacle of motorsport, which is Formula One. But you've also got Formula E now. So that's where my passion began. I was in my last year of college. I was studying a BTEC level 3 in software. And I thought to myself, I didn't really want to go down the route of university. And my dream growing up was I wanted to travel the world and see as much of the world as possible while I was still young, before I eventually retire. So I did a bit of traveling. I was traveling the world, and I came back home and I was doing a few odd jobs, for example, working in Tesco's. And it was during that time I wasn't enjoying working for somebody else. And one of my other dreams growing up was, and because of my mum, and she's one of my inspirations, is that she set up her own business and was running her own business. And I decided I want to be able to run my own business one day and be my own boss. So my passion was traveling. And I realized that my younger brother's passion was to be a racing driver. And because of motorsport is so expensive and you need a lot of finances to be able to get to the highest level, I decided, right, if I can help my brother's dream come true of being a racing driver, then I will achieve, and racing drivers drive all around the world, I can achieve my dream of traveling with my brother and exploring the world as well. So that's where the idea of the Blair Project came into play. So it's to support young drivers, mechanics, and engineers from the grassroots of motorsport to help them reach the highest levels of the sport. The Blair Project, we are a social enterprise, which means we're a not-for-profit organization, and we're a vocational and technical training provider for schools. So we go into schools and teach young people how to, for example, one of our projects, ProtoEV, we teach them how to convert used petrol go-karts and turn them into high-powered electric go-karts, which the young people get to test and race around the motorsport circuit and compete against other schools to see which is the most fastest car and which is the most energy efficient. Because especially we're now living in a world where electric vehicles are coming up to the forefront. They're no longer the future, they are now. You've got companies like Tesla, Jaguar Land Rover, Nissan, they're all bringing out their electric cars. Yeah. But there's going to be a lot of jobs in the future for anybody working in engineering and especially in the electric vehicle market. So the reason ProtoEV exists is that we train these young people in these electric vehicle technologies, starting off with karting, and the processes and applications used on ProtoEV to build the electric go-karts are actually transferable, and the processes are the same as working on an electric car. So we're providing with the skills for the future. So some of the challenges you face is obviously, naturally, I'm not an engineer. So one of the challenges was you've got to learn about the sector and all these new technologies, but you don't have to learn everything. You can bring people on board. So one of the challenges is you need to be able to learn about what's going on. But you can also, an easy thing is you can hire the right people to come into your organization to help you with that. Some of the other challenges are money and funding. So you've got to be able to get a good business case and go reach out to people and tell them your idea and try and get funding for that. So those are some of the main challenges with being an entrepreneur. So how I got started in my business was I got support from my mum. So my mum ran her own business and was an experienced business leader and coach. So she coached me into getting ready to start a business, and she still continues to help me today as we're a family business. So I got support from my mum, who helped me dramatically and still does. I've got business mentors, so I have once a month I have a mentor come in, and he just teaches me on how to get better and better in the business world, and correct errors that I might have had in my business and help to make me better. Obviously, you can get support from funding. So being a not-for-profit organization, you can get funding, for example, from the local council. So where I live in Wigan, they had a scheme where it's called Deal for Communities, and it allowed companies like ourselves, social enterprises, to bid for money and get support to make our goals come true and our dreams come true. So you can get support. They can get support from loads of different areas. So ProtoEV is a very special initiative because it's the first of its kind in the UK. And to give you a little bit of a background of how ProtoEV started, before ProtoEV, we ran a project called ProtoGP, which stands for Prototype Grand Prix. And that was all about getting young people again to convert a used petrol go-kart and turn it into a 3D printed go-kart. And we were very fortunate enough on our first test day of ProtoGP to have His Royal Highness Prince Harry come down, which, let's just say, it's absolutely amazing. It still gives me goosebumps to this day that actually happened. And as you can imagine, having His Royal Highness Prince Harry come down, you got international coverage as well as national coverage, to the point where we had an American university, we went global, contact us saying, wow, we love what you guys are doing in the UK, and we want to partner and work with you. And they were doing a similar kind of program to ProtoGP, but instead of using 3D printed go-karts, they were using electric go-karts. And electric go-karts is something that we always wanted to do from the very beginning when we set up the Blair project. So when we found out that there's other people doing it, we decided this is something that we need to bring to the UK. So that's where the idea of ProtoEV came into place. And it's the similar program, converting a used petrol go-kart into electric, but you're teaching young people about electric drivetrains, electric motors, battery technologies. And these are all skills that employers are desperately looking for young people to fill gaps in the job market. Yeah. And I'm going to give you a good example. There's a training company in Birmingham. So they train young people so that they're ready for the workforce, so that companies can snap them up and take them straight into a job. So there was a young lad, 16 years old, so not much older than a lot of you guys in the room. And he was meant to do a 4-year apprenticeship. And he only managed to do 1 year with them because a company snapped him up and said, we can't wait 4 years, we need them now. And would you believe he's now on £38,000 a year? That's the opportunities that are out there for engineering, because at the minute, the average age of an engineer is 58. So there's people like us, Blair Project, who have a good existing relationship with companies, and then we take the information and the technologies that are being used in industry and take them into the schools so that the teachers can get trained on them and the young people can get trained on them, and that we can create that pipeline of future engineers coming into the sector. Well, I think the main thing is that, especially in the UK, we're not that far away from all cars on the road having to be electric. So only in 2040, there will be no more petrol cars on the road. And I think for electric vehicles, the really great things about them is that they're quieter than normal petrol cars. They're cheaper to maintain and to run. Yeah. So, for example, you can save up to about £3,000 a year having an electric car compared to a petrol car. And plus, you could even charge your electric car from home. So there wouldn't be any having to go all the way to a petrol station to go and charge your car. You can just charge it from home. And I shouldn't really be saying this, but they're a lot quicker as well. So I'm not saying you should be speed demons and be revving up your electric cars, but they are quicker, so instant torque. So let's say with a petrol car, it takes you a while to build up the speed. With an electric car, it's straight. It's just speed, just bang, straight away. So that's another good thing. And plus, especially for cities as well, especially like Manchester, there's a lot of high pollution in the cities. So having an electric car is a lot more greener, and for global warming, you can bring down the pollution levels. Mm-hmm. And those are some of the great things. Obviously, with electric cars, there are some challenges, which will be overcome in the future. So at the minute, because it's new, it's quite expensive to own an electric car. So for example, you've got the Tesla, which is probably the most popular electric car. They cost on average about £30,000 to £40,000. But that's because they are so new at the moment. So, but slowly and slowly, electric cars, the price is coming down. Mm-hmm. So obviously there's the issue about running out of charge. So at the minute, the average electric car can go 300 miles before it needs recharging. So you might think, well, 300 miles is quite a lot, you know, it's not too drastic. But if you're having to do long distance journeys, there's not enough electric charging stations at the minute. So you'd have to like constantly be looking on your phone and seeing where's the nearest electric charge station because my car's going to run out of juice. And electric cars do take up to 8 hours to charge. But those are some of the few major challenges at the minute. But overall, I think electric cars are probably the best and will be great for society just for those reasons. I think it will be sooner before electric cars. I think we'll definitely meet the deadline, but I think at the minute there are so many companies out there who are making electric cars, and it seems to be the new it factor. A lot of companies are pushing out electric cars. I know JLR has the I-Pace, which is sold very well, even though there's been a bit of news recently with JLR. But companies like Porsche and Mercedes are even now developing electric cars. And I believe, is it Nissan? In about 3 years, they're only going to completely make electric cars from then on, and no more petrol cars. So it's coming quicker than you think. Oh gosh, there are loads of jobs in the motorsport sector. It's pretty much endless. So it's not just all about being a driver or being a mechanic or being an engineer. You can do press and PR. You can be a logistics manager. So what that means is you organize items to get from A to B and to make sure things hit deadlines. You could even be doing like social media for these motorsport teams. You could just be even doing hospitality and PR. So the job sector in motorsport is never ending, and plus it pays very well. And plus, again, you get to travel all over the world and be a part of these amazing spectacles and events. So it's definitely a life-changing career. And I've met many people in the sector who said that, you know what, it's one of the best things they ever did. And a lot of the technology that you see in cars today all came from motorsport, Formula One. So Formula One and Formula E, they're used as like the testing grounds for all these new technologies that end up in our cars today. I would definitely say start by watching a lot of YouTube videos and following channels that promote or talking about electric vehicles or Formula One. Get up to date with the grips and the terminology and what's going on in the sector, especially for careers in, let's say, engineering or mechanics. I would definitely say study or go do an apprenticeship or go to college, further education, study mechanics and engineering. They definitely lead to rewarding careers. Or, for instance, with PR and marketing, you don't physically have to go into, let's say, college and study social media and PR and marketing. You can actually learn that from home. So for me, with my business, I didn't study at college or to be an entrepreneur. I just decided one day that I really want to be my own boss and I didn't really want to work for anybody else. And I decided, right, do you know what? I can keep talking about doing it, but let me make it happen. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it was my passion for traveling that made me come up with the business idea of the Blair Project. And here I am today. Do you know what? There are many, but I'm only going to mention two. Because if I could go on forever. So the first one, as I mentioned earlier, having His Royal Highness Prince Harry come to our very first test day was absolutely fantastic and was one of the best moments of my life. And it helped propel the Blair Project to a global platform. And then the second one only happened 2 months ago. So we were selected by the government, by BAYS, as an exemplar for the government's industrial strategy. So we, out of 4 companies in Manchester, we were one of the companies selected by the UK government to be an exemplar for industrial strategy, which is absolutely amazing. So those are some of the exciting projects that we've got going on.